A common question I always ask people is well, let's start out with the easy one, right? Which is, why do you like arcade games? I mean, you obviously have other skills, you do music, you do the other stuff. But what about arcade games keeps you coming back after years?
Well, I'll tell you from the very beginning how it worked. I had uncles that were probably like 5 to 10 years older than I was. And when I was like 7, 8 years old, they were like 18, 20 years old, right? And what happened was they were into Pong and all that kind of stuff. And what happened was they were really I had a lot of uncles, 8 uncles, and they were playing against each other, see who was the best at Pong. And every time I'd go over there to ask to play, they wouldn't let me play. They were like, no, we're playing, you just go over there and watch. And I could see them having a really good time playing. So after a few days of not being able to play, I said, can I please play Pong? This is back in 76, 77 or something. And they were like, once we're done, you can play. So they went to go eat dinner or something, and my brother and I grabbed some food and came back, and we were playing Pong, and I was kicking my brother's ass. And my other uncles came back, and they were like, hey, let me play you, you stink, let me play you. And then I beat all of them. And they couldn't believe it, and they kept playing against me, and my brother and I were just whooping these guys' ass. That was a motivation for me to keep playing games, because I looked up to these guys, and I impressed them by beating them, right? And they would always take us to the arcade. Not like guys do once a month, once every couple of weeks. I would go every day or every other day, right? So it became a thing where not only was it important for me to be good at the games, whenever I was good at them, I was somebody amongst my family members, right? Oh, this guy's really good at Galaxy, and this guy's really good at Miss Pac-Man and stuff like that. So from probably 1976, 77 up until 1983, 84, that's all I did. That was my life, basically. If I got good grades, and I would take a paper with an A on it and show it to my dad, he'd take me to the putt-putt golf and games, and we got to play games. If I got a good grade, a B or something, he'd take me to the Aladdin's Castle, and we got to play games. That was literally my life. I mean, that's what we did all the time. So I just kept playing games. I used to get T-shirts that were game-related T-shirts. I had glass, the cups that were game-related cups. If I could show you, if I could find my old elementary school books, you could see Pac-Mans and Galaga's. They used to draw them in there. I was obsessed by this stuff, obviously, and so that's it. I mean, to me, it's a little bit more than just I remember the games and I played them a couple times. I mean, they were actually a part of my life. So for me to have them around me, it almost feels like I'm complete, if that makes any sense.
The games themselves, I mean, is there a is there one here that's just never going to leave?
Yeah, I could say that about quite a few of them, but Zookeeper's one that, I've been offered crazy money for it. I just don't want to sell it, I just won't sell the game. I really enjoy playing it. I really enjoy playing Pooey, and believe it or not, for me, not just the memories of it, but the game itself is fun and just hard to find. So yeah, that's just it, man. To me, I don't think I'll probably get rid of most of these games. I told my wife that once I croak, she could call a couple of people up and sell the games to them, and she could bury me in a couple of these, and that's the way it's going to work, I think.
Just so I know from your expertise, when you get your hands on a game, say you get, one shows up, right, or you're looking at games and you're trying to get them, what's the most common thing that's just wrong with them when they come in?
Well, the biggest thing, obviously, is most of the games that I get don't work at all. That's kind of the biggest thing. The most common problem with them is always a dead monitor, right? The monitors always never work, and most people can't fix monitors, so therefore the game's worthless to them if the monitor's not working. Common things that are altered, joysticks, buttons are different, people will have the wrong overlays on them, the wrong marquees. I've even had marquees that are somebody wrote with a pen, Zookeeper, and then put it back up there again. So what I do with a game is quite a bit, actually. I take a game, I make sure that it's solid, it's in good condition. I prefer original machines versus restored stuff. I don't like restored stuff. if the game has a beat condition original machine, that's the most important thing to me, because I get the machine, and anything else I can fix. I can replace the monitor. If the board's even missing, I could always buy another board, and I could always rebuild the power supply. As long as physically it's in good condition, that's all I care about. So I get the game, make sure it's good looking, get a new overlay or fix the overlay or whatever. Then I recap the monitors, I rebuild the power supplies and fix the boards, and then I put them in line here. What I've done recently, though, unfortunately, is I've been bringing more and more games down here that aren't quite there yet. So I've been bringing them down, wheeling them into my office, fixing them, and then putting them back out here again. That's why, Spiders and Galaxian aren't working. I just pulled them down here, and I have to rebuild them.
What's the longest it's taken you to rebuild a game? Like working on it, not just you left it alone.
Usually, once I start, it takes me like a week to fix everything. What happens though is when a game, like the Quantum that's in that other room, I picked it up maybe a year or two ago, maybe even 3 years ago, and I start piecing it together. So I got the cabinet, then I wait about, I just keep looking and looking for them, then I get a panel, then eventually I get a marquee, then eventually I get a board, then I get a harness, then I have to have the right monitor, then once that happens, I have to have the energy to do it, right? So that's the hardest part, man. It's not hard to piece stuff together, it's hard to get the energy to actually dedicate yourself to do it. Once I start a game, that's all I do. That's all I think about, that's all I talk about, because that's my focus. And then once I finish it, unfortunately, I just go to the next one, you know what I mean? So it's a never-ending process, basically.
Are the games arranged here in a specific order, or is it just, it works out?
No, they're specific order, actually. This wall over here, that's behind you, I have the newer stuff, stuff that I think aren't dedicated, like classic games. I have them up here against this wall. The Blaster and the Eagle are classics, but they're minis, and they don't really match the rest of the place. So I kind of put the oddball stuff here. I kind of tend to put stuff by manufacturers. So I'll have 4 or 5 games that are Taito games, 3, 4, 5 games that are Williams games, a row of Atari games. That's the way I like to do it. In the arcade, it really wasn't like that. It was just like, they just kind of like mixed it up. But I like to see like a whole row of, like, for example, Taitos. I think it looks really cool. Or like, cabinets that are specific, like the same type of design. I like to have them next to each other. I think it looks neat like that.
So, other than this one, did you ever own or operate any other arcades?
Never operated arcades ever. Just strictly, I guess, strictly a collector. That's it. I've had a lot of offers to have games in places. I've had a lot of offers for me to put games in like stores and bars and stuff like that. I have no interest in that. To be honest with you, I don't want people to even play my games. I have a party once a year or twice a year, and then afterwards I have to go through and fix everything again and clean everything up. What I realize is people that come and play games, for the most part, they don't really care for them as much as I do, They beat them up and smack them around. I see kids like hanging off the joysticks and stuff like that. So for the most part, I'd rather have people not play and just come and look at them, play a couple of games, and then that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Is there any game here that's a constant repair nightmare? Like there's one that just keeps going out, but you're keeping it around?
Yeah, well, Zookeeper's one of those. Zookeeper is one of the most complex board sets from its time, and it's constantly breaking. It's constantly having problems. It'll like lose its memory all the time. Even if you put a battery pack on it, it still loses its memory. As a matter of fact, this particular machine, I've had it for 14 years, and I would say it's the most common broken game that I have. It's probably more broken than it's running. I ended up putting a brand new monitor in it because I got tired of fixing the old monitors. I put a switcher kit inside of it. So those have been reliable, but the board set's just not reliable.
Let's see. So this is what I'm doing. I'm just peppering you with just random questions as they come to me, and I just ask for various bits. Because we can go into the one up. Why don't you stand over here, actually? Why don't you go there? That'd be better for me.
Yeah, because that way I'd be looking this way, too.
Right. Well, no, some People are different. People are different how they do it. You do something that's very effective for human conversation, which you engage everyone around you.
Yeah.
You don't just hyper focus, and so as a result, that's great for everything but this camera.
Oh, I see.
No. It's just one of these things. You got to think about what the camera's up to. So anyway, so like. I mean, what do you think of this basement as? Do you think of it as an arcade or a collection, or do you think of it as a storage, or what is this basement to you?
I'll answer that in a different way. Most arcades in the 80s even, I don't think they had this many machines. There was a very few amount of arcades that had more than like 20, 30 pieces. So, and most collections don't have more than like 5, 10, 15, 20 pieces. So what happens is, I see this as like, obviously a game room, not an arcade really, because the way I see an arcade is it's a public place where people actually put money into it and play games. This particular place, I see it as just a pretty big shrine / game room. It's just, it's my personal game room. It's stuff that I played. I don't collect things as trophies. I don't collect things for other people. I just collect them for myself. And I could tell you a story probably about every single game that's in here and what it meant to me at what time, you know what I mean? And that's why I have them. Some of these games, like for example Gain Ground, I've had that for a good 10 years now, and I've probably only played it like 10 times. But I have it because of the memory's sake and because I know that once I get rid of it, I'm not going to be able to find another one.
And again, you can decide how you want to talk about family. Does this arcade set predate the marriage?
No, it actually doesn't.
So
no.
she was aware that this was something you were looking to do.
Right.
Okay.
So what happened was this. I was always into like console stuff as much